have a lot of opportunities at running that thing back with pick six.
Well, you know what? I did pick out Ryan Fitzmagic. So how you feel about it?
Hey,
Hey, he around
I'm
18
not
years.
surprised how long you've been in the league and so many teams. So I'm not surprised.
Yeah. I picked him off, but I picked off a younger version of Ryan. This older version of Ryan actually is pretty damn good, and he can flat out play. Don't forget the guy got benched in Miami for winning too much. So that tells you a lot about him and where he's at. And he's in the top, hey, believe this or not, he's in the top 5, top 6 in QBR and completions in the last 3 years of his career. He's got better. It's like wine. He's getting better. But I got something that I feel, as much as I know Ryan is going to help us win and he's going to be that guy, you know, sometimes in football, it's all about the story. I feel a Kurt Warner type story happening with Tyler Heineke. I just feel if Ryan Fitzmagic missed just 1 or 2 games, he'll never get his job back again. I feel that Tyler Heineke would get in there and really become Kurt Warner of the Washington football team. Yes, the guy that comes out of nowhere that was bagging groceries that turns into a Hall of Famer. I gotta feel it.
How does that OG title make you feel to know that you had made an imprint into this fan base and things like that?
Oh, that's what it make you feel. Oh, you used to look at the guys like B. Mitch and Doc Walker, you Sonny Jurgensen's, and you like, man, they played and they was a part of historic teams, and all of a sudden, we didn't have any history. I think we brought a different energy to the city, and just having the luxury of playing with Sean T and playing with Santana, myself, Marcus, Chris Samuel. I think the guys, Smoot, those guys that was in that community meant so much. Even the unsung heroes, the Mike Sellers, the Rock Cartwrights, the Kerry Campbells, the list goes on. The people that was just embedded in the community and that meant well or did well. And then you have those guys that didn't do shit there that the community can't stand. So everybody came in, the guys that during my term, the LeVar Harringtons of the world that was everything community that participated, that was around, the change to
yes, sir.
To Dan and
yes,
everything that had
sir.
to go along with it. I think it was 05 or something. I just remember we had the city on fire,
Yeah, for sure.
And the Wizards was good. Just the sports period at that time. It was a memorable. It seemed like it was a longer.
Let's go ahead and get this thing started. Let's go ahead and get this thing started. Man, what a game. What a game. What a game. Hold on 1 second. Boom. All that noise. Here we go. What's going on, y'all? I mean, you know what? Before I even start acting speechless, because I have a few things to say. Welcome back to another episode of the Trap or Die podcast. Dakota, you done ran up in here. Listen, let's go ahead and get the administrative things out the way. What it do, Jarian? What up? How you enjoyed that game, man? That was a wild game. Tell me your thoughts in the chat. Before we get started, let's go ahead and get through the administrative things. The Trap or Die podcast, as always, is streaming live on Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter Tuesdays through Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. You can always catch those on those platforms, multiple platforms, obviously. And then the post game that we got going on right now is now live streamed on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube immediately following a Washington football game. So make sure you always stay tuned. And if you aren't following on the Twitch, make sure you got that thing subscribed or followed, man, so we can talk some Washington football, man, through the good times and the bad, because we've been here throughout every single roller coaster moment of this football season. The Washington football team improves to 4-6 against the Carolina Panthers. Ron Rivera gets his revenge. And if he ain't going to say it, I will say it. He gets his revenged. That's hilarious. He gets his revenge against the Carolina Panthers, man. And shows that, he doesn't need another or a Cam Newton. You know, he came through and showed his ass off in terms of Taylor Heineke. And Ron Rivera played an interesting game. I'm not going to sit here and say that he was flawless. Ron Rivera had some issues today. Ron Rivera definitely had some issues. So let's go ahead and get through the stats right quick. The overview of the game, we have Taylor Heineke finished it with 16 to 22, 206 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and no turnovers. Sacked 3 times for 27 yards. Antonio Gibson, who had a wild game, 19 carries, 95 yards. And then J.D. McKissick behind him, 7 carries, 46 yards. And then Taylor Heineke, who had his first scramble of the game, late third quarter, had finished the game with 6 carries for 29 yards. And the team on the day rushed the ball for 40 times for 190 yards. 40 times for 190 yards against the Carolina Panthers, who came into the game, ranked, let's see. They weren't that good, but they were 13th in the NFL in yards. So, they handled business. They attacked the team in which the way they were supposed to. And back to the numbers, we had Terry McLaurin leading the day on the offensive side of the ball. 5 receptions for 103 yards, 1 touchdown. He had 69 yards in the first quarter. Either way, a really good game, but Terry McLaurin had his 2 catches for 69 yards in the first quarter, finished the day with 5 catches, 103 yards. Second leading receiver is Adam Humphries for two receptions and a huge 18-yard reception to take a 3rd and 21 down to a 4th and 3, in which Taylor Heineke ends up converting and eventually ends up extending the lead. Joey Sly does on that critical fourth quarter drive. So Adam Humphries, second leading receiver. And then we have on the defensive side of the football. First off, I mentioned Joey Sly. Let's go ahead and do this right now. Joey Sly finishes the game 5 for 5 on the day. I think this is his second straight week in which Joey Sly went perfect on the day. I'm going to go ahead and pull up his numbers. Where are we at? Yes. Perfect on the day against Tampa Bay. 3 for 3 for field goals, 2 for 2 extra points. Against Carolina, he goes 2 for 2 field goals, 3 for 3 extra points. Total of 9 points, a total of 20 points altogether with Carolina and Tampa Bay. So Joey Sly is doing a really good job of making people forget about Dustin Hopkins, because there was a lot of people in the uproar about him. So moving forward to the defensive side of the football, we had Cole Holcomb, who finished the day with 10 tackles, 3 solo. Right behind him is Cam Curl. We're going to talk about them, but they had that third and fourth down stop that essentially gave the ball back to Washington for them to go up 27-21 was amazing. So that's how that was. Cam Newton on defense, on the Panthers side of the ball, 21-27, 189 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 1 sack for 3 yards. Christian McCaffrey, 10 carries, 59 yards. Cam Newton, 10 carries, 46 yards. The team rushed for 21 carries, 111 yards on the day with 1 touchdown. Their leading receiver, obviously, is Christian McCaffrey. CMC did it all. Another 100-yard day from scrimmage. And if you ask me if he would have had 100 yards from scrimmage today, and Washington won, I would have thought that Washington lost on the day. Like, it would have been a very successful day for the Carolina Panthers, but it just happened to be that he was all of their offense. So we have that out of the way. Team totals. Let's go ahead and get to that. On the team totals side of the ball, 24 first downs to 18 for Carolina, 24 Washington to 18 for Carolina. 6 of 13 on third down for Washington's offense. Holding the Carolina Panthers on for Washington's defensive side, 2 for 9. 2 for 9. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you all are aware. The Washington football team, over the last, I want to say 3 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, has improved dramatically on the stat sheet on third down for the defense. I'm going to go ahead and show you all. Well, I'm not going to show you, but you'll be able to see it. But let me get through the numbers first, actually, and I'll circle back to the third downs, okay? So we have 2 of 9 for the Carolina Panthers, third down efficiency. 1 of 3 on third down. They went for it 3 times, 33% conversion rate for the Panthers. Passing, obviously 179 net yards, 186 to the Panthers, 190 total yards. 8 penalties for 69 yards for the Washington football team, 7 penalties for 65 yards to Carolina Panthers. We had 1 turnover, which was the Antonio Gibson turnover in the red zone. And then once again, the Washington football team dominates the time of possession by 11 minutes this game against the Carolina Panthers. 35 minutes and 53 seconds to Carolina's 24 minutes and 7 seconds. Yes. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in the chat right quick for everybody who wants to be a part and get things off their chest. The floor is open for everybody to come through. If you all want to tune in, the link is right there. You all should be getting that right now. Let's take a look. Make sure that's all right. Yeah. So there we go. Yes, sir. What's going on? How you feeling? So let me go ahead and go back to this number, right? The third down stats before we get into my overall thoughts on the game and your overall thoughts. That's my dog. Dakota. So yeah, everybody, let's get your thoughts. Anything that you want to say about the Washington football team? The floor is you all's. And get ready to talk some ball, man. So again, before I get to my storyline of the day, and everybody, I want to hear that too. What is going to be your narrative heading into this week against the Seattle Seahawks? The Washington football team is slowly improving on third down. Now, I don't know if it's a fluke per se. I'm not going to sit here and say that, it's a matter of fact that they are improving, like in the sense of like things have officially corrected itself. I'm not going to sit here and say that is the truth. However, let's go into the Broncos game where it wasn't great against the Broncos, but it was better than normal. 7 of 13. Again, what I say, wasn't pretty. 7 of 13. That's still nearly half. That's still nearly 50%. Actually, it's over 50%. Excuse me. But you get the point in that sense. But then we get to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. And the reason why I brought up the Broncos is because it was way worse earlier in the season. But I'm not going to do that now to everybody who's sitting here talking about the Carolina game. Tampa Bay, you hold Tampa Bay to 4 of 10 on third down, 40%, which is really good. And then obviously we get to the Carolina game in which you hold them, where they 2 for 9, and all know that I really can't count. So I'm going to go ahead and do this on the stream. That's 22% conversion rate. 22% conversion rate. Yeah, hey, Amani, talk to me. Let's talk. But yeah, so Amani mentions Dakota isn't happy, Jarian. that's hilarious. But she saw a dog that she can't get to outside. I already know what she's talking about. Storyline. When you can run the ball, everything works out, and 4 is improving. He had 2 real nice throws today. My storyline of the day, everybody. Where is my notes? My notes. With back-to-back complete games on both sides of the football against 2 top-tier defenses. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to slice it, okay? I'm not going to slice it. I'm not going to over-exaggerate. You all know how I've been. I'm not going to over-exaggerate things. But the P word may be back in play. You all know what the P word is. You all know what it is. It has not been a conversation since maybe week 1. It has not been a conversation since maybe the preseason. But the P word may be back in play. And please, let's diagnose the May word. Because this team has had its issues. This team has had its issues from the ineptitude, essentially, from the both sides of the ball, the Washington's football offense and defense, but mainly the defense, who just laid complete eggs on multiple occasions before the bye week. And then obviously the offense just not showing up against the better defenses or non-Giant and non-Falcon teams out there, just not there. For them to have this complete turnaround in 2 straight games against 2 top-tier defenses, as we mentioned before, I think that this team is essentially come out of the bye week more prepared, more disciplined. Taylor Heineke has calmed down a bit in that pocket. I've seen Taylor Heineke. We've all seen Taylor Heineke throughout these games, everybody, where, he's kind of frantic sometimes, but also he's overthrowing and missing some easy throws. That still has continued. Even with Tampa Bay, we know that he had opportunities to throw a couple of interceptions against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. This week against the Carolina Panthers, I honestly think he probably had 0 attempts, like 0 opportunities. That's kind of where I am with Taylor Heineke, but the team has looked way more disciplined, way more prepared. They're able to take these punches. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that everything was okay, because the first drive of the game, allowing another touchdown, another opening drive touchdown, is not acceptable. The defense continues to allow that. I think we've played 10 games already. Ladies and gentlemen, and y'all can help me. Please help me. I think Washington has given up a touchdown on their opening drive, and out of the 10 games, like 7 or 8 of them? About 7 or 8 of their opening drives, they have given up touchdowns to opposing teams. So that's not acceptable in any way. But that's kind of where things are. I'm gonna go through some of the comments and then get through some of my notes. Who are y'all key players, man? As well as I go through some of the comments so we can talk. Jared, what's going on, Jared? I hope all is well with you, my boy. Deandre Carter is becoming a very reliable big play guy. And Amani, I agree with you, and I agree with Jared. This is a guy who has had 1,000 opportunities in the NFL and couldn't find a team. Obviously, his go-to has been the special teams, but because of injuries to De'Ami Brown and Curtis Samuel, and obviously understanding that Steven Sims was cut and Cam Sims was hurt, who gets thrusted into the offensive lineup and starts seeing snaps? It's Deandre Carter. And he hasn't looked back with the opportunities that he's been receiving. This week he had, Deandre Carter had, let me go back, my bad, y'all. Deandre had 2 catches for 22 yards. But obviously one of the big ones was the touchdown. And these are opportunities, like, it doesn't matter how many catches you get. Like, a guy with a perfect example of that is Adam Humphries, who doesn't see a lot of opportunities. Like, think about Adam Humphries last week against the Buccaneers. You know what his one catch was? It was on the 19-play drive that took up the entire fourth quarter. And his one drive came on 3rd down, where they continued to move the sticks and eventually ended up scoring a touchdown to end the game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Adam Humphries is that same guy who isn't seeing a lot of targets, but he's making plays when he gets the opportunities. Deandre Carter, he's in the same boat. And he almost housed another kickoff against the Carolina Panthers this week as well. So the opportunities for him are coming. The opportunities for him won't actually, I think the more he gets, the better his shine is. Now, I don't know what's going to happen in the offseason. When you have Curtis Samuel and you have De'Ami Brown, two huge investments to this team. It may be the case that you have a shored up unit, or maybe Cam Sims ends up getting the boot because they like Dax Milne. I don't know what the issue is going to be like in the future, but that's kind of where they are for the offensive side of the ball, especially Deandre Carter, who's making the name. That 7th spot, sorry. Yeah, so those are some things. Jared mentioned 3 of those last 5 division games. They think they could sneak in. And then Dallas starts the game 3-0. I like that because I got I got Kansas City minus 2.5. The 4th down catch he had too. Absolutely. Yes, we should keep Carter somehow, some way. Cam Sims is still making plays. Absolutely. All right, so a couple things. I'm going to go through some of the players that actually stood out for me. Obviously, we know about Deandre Carter already. J.D. McKissick. First off, actually, speaking of running backs, let's have this conversation about Antonio Gibson. For those who are tuning in, Antonio Gibson had, and once more, for the new viewers in here, I appreciate y'all joining us for a second. Let's go ahead and put this link in the chat. Once more, for the new viewers, you can join whenever you're ready. It's an open floor for everybody to come in and talk Washington football. Antonio Gibson had an early fumble in which Washington was trailing 7-0 at the time. Excuse me, 7-0 at the time. It was their second Washington football drive. and it was a red zone turnover. They put together a great drive to try and keep things up. And you really get those opportunities against a really good defense. Regardless of how many times we got in the red zone, we ended up scoring 27 points. At the end of the day, 9 times out of 10, when you play a good defense like that, you're not always going to get those opportunities. And it was really essential and critical for this offense early on. And obviously, you can see how important it was for Ron Rivera and Scott Turner, because they ended up benching Antonio Gibson for the rest of the first half. And I actually thought that he should have been gone the entire game, but at the end of the day, when you make decisions from a coach and from a fan standpoint, whether you agree or disagree, they did it. They ended up putting Antonio Gibson back in, and whatever they said to Antonio Gibson at halftime or even on the sideline, because he didn't even look dejected. Like, he had if you saw his face, he didn't look like he was worried or sad. He stayed on the sideline watching the game. He wasn't on the bench. He was rarely on the bench, excuse me. He stayed on the sideline watching the game. He was locked in. J.D. McKissic took over. Some of the best runs you can see from J.D. McKissic this year he had in this game against this defense to hold the fort for Antonio Gibson and the other running backs, Jared Patterson, excuse me. But when he gets back into the game, he gets back in the second half, and he takes off. Antonio Gibson finished the day again with 19 carries, 95 yards. He almost had a 100-yard day, even after the benching of him in the entire first half. So I would love to know the numbers that he had, and if anybody has the numbers, about Antonio Gibson in the second half, let me know. Put it in the chat so we can share it. But 19 carries, 95 yards on the day. And he turns up in the second half, making incredible runs. His vision was good. He protected the ball. I'm not mad that they put him back in the game. I mean, at some point you got to prove somebody right or wrong. That is a right decision that they made, and I was proven wrong. What's going on, Dante? I hope all is well with you. Appreciate you checking in, my man. Jared said he's not gonna lie. The last play when he saw Landon lined up man to man, I was a little nervous. Hey, Jared, hey, I need this news. Y'all see this? Cowboys fumble, Chiefs ball. I need this news every single time. I need that. Yes, Amani. He was locked in, man. But look, we need to have a real conversation about Antonio Gibson, though. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's his 5th fumble on the year. Let me verify this through Pro Football Reference. Let's see for a second if this thing stops freezing. He's had 4 fumbles, prior to the Panthers game. That's his 5th fumble. And matter of fact, I think that it doesn't say how many he lost. I can't see that. So, that's his 5th fumble in the year. And we still have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 more games left. 7 more games left, man. I don't blame them if they minimize his carries. I don't blame him. But after the game that he had in the second half, it's going to be hard to sit here and justify the fact that he can't get on the field. But again, like Jarian mentioned, he's a converted receiver. I think the issue is he's not paying attention to the smaller details. And Ron Rivera has said that 1,000 times to him, and he mentioned it in his pressers leading up into the Tampa Bay game. Those are those things where you just kind of wonder, is Antonio Gibson going to get it because he's that converted guy? Amani mentioned 71. Wes Schweitzer. Look, this offensive line, matter of fact, where is the note that I had on the offensive line? I don't know where the offensive line notes are. It's a lot. Anyway, the offensive line, I agree with Wes Schweitzer, man. Wes Schweitzer, the already backup center. Look, trust me, everybody. I don't know every single backup for this offensive line because some of these people were just brand new anyway. But the backup center who was already starting, who got hurt, he was playing well. Wes Schweitzer, who came in, he was playing well. Brandon Sheriff, Eric Flowers, who's actually, for those who aren't aware, Eric Flowers and Charles Leno Jr. are both 2 top 10 players at their respective position in pass blocking and run blocking. Eric Flowers being a guard, he's a top 10 guy in that regard. And then Leno Jr. being a tackle, he's a top 10 in that respective as well. This offensive line, I don't know what's gotten into these guys because last year wasn't that pretty. However, they've continued to improve as the quarterback play got better. This year, the same thing. Taylor Heineke, he got sacked 5 times last week, but those 5 sacks, 4 of those was on Taylor, and he told you that. So that's excuse me. Let me cite my sources. Let me cite my sources. Leno is a top 10 per ESPN Next Gen Stats or Advanced Stats, whatever those are. So he's top 10 according to them, and I should have clarified that. So that's where those numbers are getting from. And these guys, the offensive line, who really isn't allowing too much pressure on Taylor Heineke. It's been a staple for a majority of this season. I would say that. And it was something that we really didn't expect going in. It was probably something where you kind of had to hope things worked out because you signed Charles Leno a little late. Obviously, Cornelius Lucas, you didn't know what's going on with him. You didn't even know who was going to be at left guard. They ended up starting Eric Flowers, and it's worked out so far to this point. So yes, that is an ESPN stat. All right, I'm just going by them. It's hard for me, a pedestrian, a non-football guy, to really know how to quantify who was a top tackle or a top guard in the league. But you know when you see it. That's Trent Williams' side, right? So, with that being said, I think the first half had some critical moments, everybody. Let me know which drive that you liked most. I think for me, one of the biggest drives of the game, obviously putting points on the board is always a huge drive, right? Putting a touchdown on the board is obviously a huge drive. But where are we at? Hold on 1 second. It was the drive heading into the 2-minute warning and going into the 2-minute warning where Washington is down 14-7 after a game or a first half in which you were keying on Cam Newton all day. Any read option keeper, you're focusing on Cam Newton. Bunmi Rutimi, a backup end who's playing obviously for Chase Young and Montez Sweat. Bunmi Rutimi gives up an edge run for Cam Newton, who ends up going for 20 plus and for a touchdown. They end up going 14-7. And by the way, I don't know how that touchdown celebration where he went to the 50, I don't understand how the hell that was not flagged for taunting. And there you go, the second TD drive right before the half. See, we're on the same page, Amani. It was big, man, because not only is the return or the response from Washington critical, they launched a 12-play, 71-yard drive that lasted 5 minutes and ended up tying the ball game up 14-14. On that drive, you had a big 4th down conversion, 4th down and 6 with under 2 minutes left. And this is the conversion you was talking about, Amani, earlier, where he converted that catch. And what kind of bugged me on that drive was the fact that they wasted so much time. It worked out because they scored. Terry McLaurin saved them in the end zone. But for them to run so much clock off in a situation where you never know how much time you'll need when you get inside the red zone, if you get inside the red zone, I think they ended up snapping the ball for Terry McLaurin when they ended up scoring. I think they ended up snapping the ball with 14 seconds left. So for me, it works out, right? And for everybody involved with the team, it works out. But for me, when I'm talking about the situation in which a clock management standpoint, Ron Rivera, and I think we talked about Ron for a split second, some of you all in the chat, we talked about Ron for a split second, how he wasn't really able to manage some aspects of the game well. That fourth quarter challenge, I'm not going to lie to y'all, some people felt it was a good challenge. I completely disagree. Like, in the flow of the game, in the flow of them throwing the pass, the double pass where Cam Newton hands the ball off to Christian McCaffrey and he throws it back to Cam Newton, everything of that play looked normal. Like, if you knew that it was a backwards pass, like in your head as you're watching it, you kind of understand, wait, that ain't it. Like, that's illegal. I would have seen that. You all would have been able to see that. Again, some people thought it was a good challenge, but I'm not in that boat. I'm not in that boat. So one of the things that I felt that kind of bothered me, and we're going to circle back to that first half drive, and why it was so important. But the one thing that bothered me is that on that call where the double pass, not only did they make that happen, but then you throw the ball downfield, completed, and the tight end essentially fumbles. I think that he fumbled inbounds, and an argument could be had for the Washington side of the ball because this is a drive where the Panthers ends up scoring, right? The argument could be made that if you hustle, regardless of what the whistle is saying, you don't know if that ball is live or not. All you know is that it was a fumble. You don't know if he was out of bounds or not. And for Washington to not really show some hustle on that play that could have essentially been the proper challenge by Ron Rivera, the proper one, and recover that ball, you're not even trailing at that point. You're not down 21. Oh, well, I'm sorry. Because they're up. Washington is up 21-14. They end up tying the ball game. So excuse me. But you're not even in that position to have a tie ball game. You're getting the ball back because you're up 21-14. These guys hustled for the ball, a loose ball. The challenge says that it was a fumble. His feet was in bounds when he fumbles, and then Washington has a clear recovery. You don't give yourself that opportunity. So that's kind of what kind of bothered me. But back to that drive, Amani had the same thoughts about how the second touchdown drive in the first half was huge. I think one of the things that made it huge is obviously knowing the response that you gave, a 5-minute drive that's covering 12 plays, 71 yards, but only you get that one and you get the ball out of the half. And what does Washington do now? They drive, they take the lead. Taylor and Deandre Carter, touchdown for Washington. They're up 21-14. My opinion on Heinicke, everybody. I've been very impressed over his last 2 games. Last week, he got away with some things, and you can't really quantify because the opportunities were missed by Tampa Bay, right? Right. So you can't really quantify how great he actually played. Like, because if you take some of those moments, you're sitting there and you're like, okay, he played good, but there were some missed opportunities. Against the Panthers, he was really efficient, very efficient. Again, 16 of 22. He took what the defense gave him. He hit the open man a couple times. The one thing that Taylor Heinicke should have even had a bigger opportunity on was the Terry McLaurin drop. The Terry McLaurin drop was huge. Huge for Heinicke in a sense, and even for Terry, because for those who haven't seen it, excuse me, I think it was the third quarter, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, the third quarter where Taylor Heinicke drops back, throws a beautiful deep ball to Terry McLaurin. And the person who's been making plays all game, tough catches on the sideline, out jumping people, mossing people, tough catch in the end zone for a touchdown. He jumps a little bit too early in a ball that Heinicke really delivered. Downfield looking like a 40-yard bomb. That's kind of where you're like, okay, Heinicke showed up. So when you look at the opportunities that Heinicke gives you moving forward, you have a Seattle team coming up next, Monday Night Football, home game. A Las Vegas Raiders team who's kind of reeling on the defensive side of the football. I talked to a couple people that I know that are fans of the team. They're struggling to get pressure. The secondary, well, I hope they're winning today because I do have the Raiders on a couple of my tickets. I have them on a couple of. Ooh, what is that? I have a couple on my tickets. Sorry for the confusion. But yes, you have the Carolina Panthers. You just won. Seattle Seahawks is up next on Monday night. You have an opportunity to get you one game closer to 500. You're 5-6 after that game. And then obviously the Las Vegas Raiders. But again, it's always one game at a time. People have said that on Twitter. When I mentioned that P word possibility, these are those opportunities where you have to take control over things. And the 17th game for Washington has become major. The only thing that kind of bothers me, though, when we talk about the season and when we talk about Washington's ability to even fully or officially, let's put it this way, this is probably fair. when you talk about Washington's opportunity to officially start talking about that P word again, why the hell did you start off 2-6? You putting yourself behind the 8 ball. I understand Ron Rivera is a coach who loves the second half of the season. November, December, his record is phenomenal. His record is phenomenal. But for you to start off 2-6, you're putting yourself in the hole. And that kind of is the bugaboo of this season. Wondering what happened in the bye week to make them play a particular way, and then understanding how much time they truly wasted in the first half of the season doing things a different way. So that's kind of where I'm at. That 2-6 hill, like Jerry mentioned, is going to be a tough hill to climb. I'm not. That's just the frustrating thing of this entire situation. Obviously, taking care of business against two really good teams. Seattle's going to be another tough team. You're dealing with Russell Wilson, and DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. That's a really good trio. Believe it or not, I know we have our beef with DK Metcalf, our imaginary beef, because Terry McLaurin don't get that same respect that DK Metcalf get, even though Terry is better than DK. This is going to be obviously another huge game. Yes, and this is kind of where I mentioned Bunmi Rutimi. For those who are listening to the podcast, Jarian mentioned that today you can see the edges are exposed on defense. And yes, Bunmi Rutimi, Jamin Davis. I don't think Jamin Davis had a really good game today, everybody. And mainly, the thing that kind of gets me is the discipline, the eye discipline, and understanding your responsibilities. I truly think that even though he was isolated in the sense where he had to take either Christian McCaffrey or Cam Newton on a particular read option route, I think that if the emphasis was to key in on Cam Newton on those keepers, you failed. You got kind of stuck in the middle. But not only that, he got beat in coverage a couple times too. And while he's on the field and he's getting these opportunities, this was one of those games where I was like, all right. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been in your corner trying to tell people you playing a little bit better, but you know what I'm saying? Ain't looking good right now. It's okay. He's still a rookie, right? But understanding that he has a pretty steep hill to climb, bruh, is not necessarily okay for you to keep having these gaps. So they're correctable, and I believe that they'll get fixed. That's not an issue. It's just the fact that sometimes these same mistakes, coverage issues, and things like that is kind of important. So, all right, what did he say? What's going on, Wilson? So he mentioned Doc Walker, inferred that Chase and Sweat weren't playing within the scheme. With them out, the defense more cohesive. I did hear Doc mention that this week, and I tend to believe it, but I think the issue is, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say the good thing, because the next up is Russell Wilson and Seattle Seahawks. But what was tested and what Jarian mentioned earlier when he said the edge rushers are getting exposed, when you have those mobile quarterbacks, that's kind of where they'll get that exposure. Against Tampa Bay, with Chase and Sweat out, you had that opportunity to kind of collapse the pocket on Tom Brady, who was in a mobile quarterback. Like, he'll move around in the pocket, but he's not going to escape the pocket. So you have that opportunity from Bunmi Rutimi, James Smith-Williams, who I think James Smith-Williams had a good game. If we're talking about backups, James Smith-Williams had a good game. And then those two people individuals, or two individuals, excuse me. But I think those are the people where when you're talking about statues in the pocket, you'll have better opportunities to create pressure. But Carolina Panthers, where you have Cam Newton, Seattle, Russell Wilson coming up, talking about playing within the scheme, I think that's where the challenges are going to be for these younger edge rushers. I don't think things are going to be pretty against Carolina and Seattle, who Carolina did rush over 100 yards and had over, I think, 5 yards to carry. And then Seattle with Russell Wilson, and who runs the read option as well. You'll have those same vulnerabilities with this young defensive line. So that's kind of where we are. Shaka Toney is the third person I was thinking of. So I do like that they're playing disciplined to a degree. Like, they're listening to the coaches, but on the field when they have that experience, they're kind of getting they're kind of getting washed up. So yes, yes on this. Cam Reed option touchdown. Curl took an off angle. Absolutely. So on the defense side of the football, one of the things that kind of stood out to me, I think, Jaren, you mentioned this at the beginning of the stream. They didn't play great, but they showed up in huge moments. Overall, I think Cam Curl had a decent day. James Smith-Williams, I mentioned. Deron Payne, a good day. But one of the key drives that actually ends up catching my eye, it was, I mean, obviously the one of the last drives, the second to last drive for the Carolina Panthers. If you all watch the pregame stream, or excuse me, the preview stream, the game preview, if you watched it, I showed some clips, and let me see if I still have it. Because I think this is actually going to be, let me see. If I still have it, I'll show you all right quick. Hold on. Give me 2 seconds. Desktop. Where would I have put it? Okay, here we go. All right. So let's go ahead and pause this for a second. Oh, this is neat. Hold on. How do I, is this it? No, this ain't it. Good Lord. Hey, that's how y'all know this is a little, oh, I think this is it. All right. So let's go ahead and go back to, hey, this StreamYard stuff is different. All right. There we go. Now let me find the right stream. There we go. God, this took forever. All right, so look. On that second to last drive for the Carolina Panthers, I showed this in the pregame stream, preview stream, that Washington had to look out for. And this is perfect because it's the very first play that I'm trying to show you all. PJ Walker is in this moment, but Christian McCaffrey right here, he has that opportunity to have, like, he has that responsibility or that allowance from the coaching staff, the offensive coordinators and stuff like that, to make decisions, in-game decisions in terms of choice routes, option routes, angle routes, and things like that. Second to last drive, Cole Holcomb, of all people. Now, I'm not saying Cole Holcomb is terrible in coverage, but Cole Holcomb is one-on-one against Christian McCaffrey in a situation. Thank you. Hey, Jaren. Yeah. Absolutely. So Christian McCaffrey is one-on-one against Cole Holcomb, except for this is the opposite end. So Christian McCaffrey was on the right side of the quarterback as opposed to the left side against the Arizona Cardinals. And on the play, you'll see this exact thing. Look at it. Boom. Angle route. Inside. And it goes for 10-15. One of the things that Carolina loves to do is to utilize Christian McCaffrey in these spaces where he has that one-on-one matchup against the Washington football team's defender, for this matter. And the first thing that they did on third down in a situation where they needed to get the first down was isolate Christian McCaffrey against a Washington defender. It so happened that Cole Holcomb had that matchup against the all-pro running back, and Cole Holcomb. Now I'm going to give myself some credit, and I'm going to sit here and tell you all that Cole Holcomb was watching the tape. He saw what I saw. You know what I'm saying? That's what he did. So Cole Holcomb sees that exact same route from Christian McCaffrey, and he stops him. I mean, Christian McCaffrey ends up having a 4-yard or a 5-yard gain, but Cole Holcomb is right on his hip. I would expect Christian McCaffrey to catch the pass, but where are you at when he catches the pass? Are you beat or are you on his hip? Credit to the quarterback, Cam Newton, who made a really good throw to bring it to 4th and 3. But Cole Holcomb is right on his hip. Excellent coverage. Angle route was a staple for Christian McCaffrey, and Cole Holcomb was right there the entire time. That was that. The second play, because I wanted to show you all that one. We're done, but that was the one play that I wanted to look for. right there. So let's go ahead and get back to boom. So that was the first play, and then the second play you have Cam Curl on 4th and 3. Same situation, 1-on-1 isolated against Christian McCaffrey. And what do you expect the quarterback to do in this moment? Find Christian McCaffrey. What does Cole Holcomb do? Or excuse me, Cam Curl? He rides him to the sideline. He forces, now I'm going to struggle trying to word this, but essentially his goal was to force him to the sideline as quick as possible and cut off his opportunity to bend upfield on that 4th down. So he stood on sticks. He did not go anywhere. The sticks being the first down. He rolled the sticks to the sideline. Cam made the right throw, but Christian McCaffrey did not do his job in getting beyond the sticks. Cam Curl beat him there. He ends up stopping him on 4th and 3. Huge turnover. Gives the ball back to the Washington football team for a great stand. And ends up kicking a 27-21 to have essentially Washington take over the game right there. What's going on, boss man? How you feeling? Appreciate you checking in. So Wilson mentioned Casey Toohill started to chip McCaffrey in the second last drive that helped him stop the Panthers on 4th down too. That's a great observation. That's a really good observation. And I definitely missed that in my notes. So yes, people are playing smart, especially these backup DNs. To Amani's mention, to Wilson's mention, the defensive ends are playing responsible and listening to their coaches. And I think that is essential for a team who's trying to get back on track. Like, we understand, I think that these guys understand that they're going to make plays, that they want to make plays for this team and make an impact. However, if you play within the scheme, if you play with your coaches and your teammates, these opportunities will come for you. Cole Holcomb, huge play. Cam Curl, huge play. The last drive of the game. Who was it? I think it was James Smith-Williams who ended up having a sack along with Daron Payne on the 4th down call. The last drive of the game. Like, you make these plays and those opportunities just continue to come to you because you knew on fourth down when the game is on the line, why on earth would Carolina take the ball out of Cam Newton's hands? Why would they take the ball out of Cam Newton's hands when you have an empty set? The only person in the backfield is Cam Newton. Credit to the defensive line for playing their best play of the game on that down when they needed it the most. I don't think Washington did a good job. Washington's defense did a good job of creating pressure throughout the game. Cam Newton, I mean, he got touched, but at the same time, very rare did you see any pressures. The first sack that Washington got was at the end of the game. They did a really good job in the last moment. These guys stepping up, making plays for their teams, playing within the scheme, understanding that if you trust your teammate, an opportunity would eventually come to you, and vice versa. Everybody eats. Yes, the half sack. And matter of fact, who was the other person that shared it with him? I think it was Daron Payne. That's what I mentioned. So these things, and let me go ahead and put that up here for. There we go. James Smith-Williams. So yes, half sack, tackle for loss, 6 tackles. That's incredible. That's incredible for the backup. So for Washington moving forward, for everybody moving forward, if we have to define it, and everybody, welcome to the chat. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Listen, before we get up out, what do you want to see from this team? At least the next couple of games. What do you want to see from the immediate game? What do you want to see in if narrative that is formed in your head, if it's developed, has it altered or to any degree at all? That's before we get up out of here. I'm going to look for some quotes because I know we have some quotes from Ron and the boys coming up. Let's go ahead. Matter of fact, let me see if I could do it on this side so I can share the screen with you all. Hold on 1 second. All right, so let's see if I can share the screen. Let's try this. Share screen. There we go. All right. So we are here. Let's go ahead and go through it. Let's go through it. Victory Monday. Oh, by the way, Victory Monday, that all white stuff, if y'all don't remember, that all white stuff is pretty, that's pretty incredible, right? Ron Rivera puts on the all white when the game is important and these guys are showing up in those moments. I wonder what their record is with the all whites under Ron Rivera. And what's unfortunate is that I'm not seeing any quotes from anybody. Have all cited weeks of good practices and some of the reasons that they feel have had success lately. They said the same thing this time last year that began their win streak. Oh, there was a stat that I can't. Hold on, wait 1 second. I gotta find it. Yeah, let's try and find this stat for you all. So there was a stat that I found from Pro Football Reference again. Taylor Heinicke in the last 2 weeks, 38-48, 413 yards, 4 touchdowns, 130.3 passer rating, and he put those stats up against the teams ranked second and ninth passing defense by net yards per attempt. And that wasn't even the full game when they tweeted that. So just to show you the effectiveness of Taylor Heinicke over the past couple of weeks has been pretty incredible. Terry said that he struggled with the contested catches in college. His insatiable desire to improve led to what we're seeing now. Terry McLaurin on Heinicke. You can tell he has a rhythm out there. He's very comfortable with the guys that are out there, and he's comfortable with the play calls from Scott Turner. Anything. I'm not going to do that to y'all. We're not going to stay in there for that long. Deandre Carter, we definitely know who we are as an offense now. We're tough and physical. We're going to run the ball, and we trust Taylor. So speaking of that identity thing, we're going to leave that right here for a second. I'll catch up on the comments. Consistency. Monty wants to see consistency. Same thing with Jarian. Consistency. No more. Hey, so first off, Jarian, you're asking a lot of Ron. We're not going to, we'll let it slide because you end up winning the game, right? But when you have those questionable decisions by Ron Rivera, that challenge is what you get with Ron. You get clock management issues. You get bad challenges. That's the unfortunate side of things. So Wilson mentioned that the Landon Collins move to LB ended up helping to change defense from the first part of the season. Now, for those who be tuning in, I told y'all pregame against the Packers when we played the Packers. I was like, look, trust these. Y'all, I'm talking about the fan base as a collective. I'm not talking to any individual in this chat. But from a collective standpoint, nobody really gave Landon Collins a chance. But guess what? It was his second game heading into the Packers. It was his second game at linebacker. He's never played linebacker before in his career, and people was writing him off. So yes, today it didn't impact the game, but it's a fact. It could have been costly. It's the same thing when we talk about bad patches from Taylor Heinicke. The one that the couple that he had against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers doesn't matter. Didn't impact the game because guess what? Nothing bad happened. Like Tampa Bay couldn't convert. So the identity thing. That's my bad. So that was the last thing I was going to talk about. We're going to stop sharing right now. But Deandre Carter mentions once more, we definitely know who we are as an offense now. We're tough and physical. We're going to run the ball, and we trust Taylor. I love the fact that they trust Taylor. You've never really heard any bad words about Heinicke or from anybody really in terms of the offensive guys, the defensive guys. They ride with Taylor, and that's really a good thing for any. This team has a better record than the 2019 team. So for a team to ride with Heinicke like the way they do, the offensive side of the ball, the defensive side of the ball, regardless of how we feel about him, I still feel that he's a backup. He's a capable backup, and he's proven himself to be better than just a spot starter. Like he can probably play 2 or 3, maybe 4 if a quarterback goes down. But for a team to believe in Heinicke the way they do, but then for an offense, Deandre Carter mentioned that they didn't, or that they have an identity now. And for him to say that in week 11, it's confirming the fact that he believes that they didn't have an identity. Like they were searching for one, and it took this long for them to do this. I love the fact that they're running the ball nearly 200 yards on the ground against the Panthers. But I would love to just see this continue. Amani mentioned, and so did Jarian, consistency. I'm in that same boat. Consistency is something where you're not only talking about 2-game win streak to buy back in from the fan base standpoint, right? You're not just talking about a 2-game win streak. You're talking about win or lose, your team playing competent from every single standpoint. If the team is better than you that you're facing, it is what it is. But you're executing. You're playing to the level that you can play, to the ability that you can play, and then let the chips fall where they may. Obviously, people make mistakes, but if you come out willfully ill-prepared or woefully unprepared, whatever the word is, I'm not that good at pronouncing it. See, I'm not that good. But if you come out prepared and you show that you're capable of competing with the best of them, and even people who are considered from an analyst standpoint who may be lower tier than you, if you take care of your business, that's all you can ask for from a fan base moving forward, or from a fan's perspective moving forward. That's all I need to see. And for them to win 2 straight coming out of the bye week, I'm impressed. And I'm looking forward to the Monday night game against the Seattle Seahawks. It's as simple as that. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, listen, this has been a great stream. I appreciate everybody who tuned in, all the new faces, all the new heads, man, all the people who are viewing, and just checking out the live stream, Trap Or Die live stream. So, it's been incredible. Schedule-wise for this week, we have one show. Tuesday through Thursday is typically the show, which we do these things, right? But this week, holidays, my birthday is Wednesday. And then obviously after the holidays is Friday. So schedule this week. One stream, Tuesday. We will be doing a recap. Dre should be in, and maybe AJ. But we'll be doing a recap, but also from their perspective, and then also we'll turn directly into the Seahawks preview. So I will have a good friend who covers the Seattle Seahawks. He'll check in during the stream. We'll do our preview game that day, and then we will be off until game day, that upcoming Sunday, or excuse me, that Monday night. Oh Lord, we got Trap Or Die late night. Oh, that's gonna be rough. But yeah, we will be back on that Monday night, recapping the Seattle Seahawks and Washington football. So with all that being said, man, I can do it. I can do it. With all that being said, I appreciate everybody who tuned in. We will be back Tuesday, and everybody, if I don't speak or hear from you all soon or on that Tuesday, enjoy your holiday, and I'll catch you all Monday. All right, peace.